Hey everyone, I just finished Kate Tiff's autobiography. You Can't Joke About That. I actually went into this not knowing who she was at all, and I ended up loving the book and loving her. It's her autobiography, but she also kind of gives advice in it too. She talks about her, and it's like I don't want to say from rags to riches, but it's very inspiring is what it is. Definitely. It's she talks about how she lived in LA in a very small apartment, and she like basically slept on a yoga mat, and when she went to like her really rich friend's house, like, and they moved like their clothes in such a way, and then they come over to her house and she's like, well, there's my yoga mat you could sleep on. I mean, like, I think that was just so real for her to say. And things like she grew up Catholic and she went to a religious high school, which I thought was awesome. And she talks about comedy and how comedy is being attacked by the left, and she talks about free speech and comedy and certain things that she had to go through in order to get up on stage. And she right now works at Fox, and she worked at Boston like market as a cashier, and ended up and also working at Fox as an intern. And she also was talking about how she would get up on a helicopter and report the traffic news early in the morning. It's pretty much working like 4 jobs at once, and like being really tired and like going home to her mattress or her yoga mat and just crashing out. And she talks about a few boyfriends that she had were no good, but they all led her to her husband, which based on the story she told, which I think is just incredible. She talks about her health scares and things that she went through in the hospital, and things like she remembers like on January 6th where she was in the hospital, so she has a good story on that. And this pretty much talks about talking about her mom passing and her grandma passing like pretty much at the exact same time. And she pretty much talks about like putting things that should traumatize you and turning them into comedy. And in the last section of the book, she's talking about freedom of speech this entire book, which I completely is for. There's a lot of things in this book that were really eye-opening, that things I just learned about by reading this book, and things that I agree with her completely about, and things that I don't necessarily agree with, but I could see when she describes it, I could see where that comes from. She talks about freedom of speech and how comedians are getting downplayed by the left and being like shut down by the left, and pretty much, and like how that's not right. And then like people saying like you can't talk about certain things, and saying but like that's how you work out your traumas, just through laughter. And pretty much if you can't laugh about yourself, then you just take yourself way too seriously, in my opinion. And that's pretty much what I got from that chapter. And then the last chapter, she is about like how she grew up as a Catholic, but she doesn't really view the Catholic way anymore. And she pretty much says comedy is her religion, which I was a little skeptical about, but as I was reading the chapter, I kind of understood where she was coming from, which like it makes both of them makes you happy, both of them makes you uplifted in a way, you know. And then in the last speech or a chapter, she talks about writing the right to remain silent. Pretty much, if you get yourself in trouble with the police in different scenarios, how to pretty much just how to take it, like watch out for yourself, things to say, things not to say, and all the different scenarios that could be. And then she talked about the Will Smith with the slap at the award show, and then how that was wrong because like Rock was only doing his job, which completely understand. Like if you, especially somebody who works in comedy as well as a comedy actor, you should learn how to like take it, you know? And that's just my philosophy. It's like, also love this book. Follow her on Instagram now. Pretty much look up every YouTube video of her, and I found one with her like learning how to dance, and I thought that was pretty funny. So pretty much just based on this book that I borrowed from my uncle, I became a big fan of hers, and I highly recommend this book. It's from like it's an inspirational book. It's about her working her butt off. Nothing really was handed to her. Everything that she has, she worked her ass off for it, which I admire. I admire her, and I became a fan of hers, and just from reading this book. So highly recommend Kate Tiff. You can't joke about that. Definitely recommend it.